Welcome to our channel, The Turner's Flip Side.
In today's video, our neighbor had some guests for the week, and we had them over for dinner. They had fixed a nice meal, and as will happen, we got into a great conversation following the meal, which included questions about relocation to Mexico and background about various organizations in the area, cultural differences, and this was a kind of a wide-ranging conversation.
So we thought the conversation was really interesting, so we want you to take a peek at it. And it's a little long, but it's really interesting, and you might see yourself in some of this, some of these conversations. And disclaimer, during the conversation, we may say something that maybe someone doesn't necessarily agree with, and consider that we are speaking from our perspective, how things occur to us. So it's, not necessarily the Bible, it's how it occurred to us. Keep that in mind. Okay? Take a peek.
Because I saw a photo of you guys. So the photo that, I don't know if it's when you came last time or just recently, it was a big group of, it was so nice to see, just a nice, diverse.
Yeah, that organization.
That's the sisters group.
There's a lot of single female, black females in the area. There are black males here too, but their organization didn't allow males to participate in admission. So they formed this group. They have monthly dinners and all that stuff, and there was a big debate as to whether or not they would allow, even though some of the members were married, whether or not they would allow men to attend their functions. And some of the members aren't interracial, so their spouses may be white or Hispanic or whatever. Anyway, I think they're still going through that.
To their defense, though, they created, the women came here, the black women, single black women, and they wanted to, find each other and have their own community. Yeah. And so they created that group specifically for black women. But then, I guess they didn't realize the opportunity for growth. They didn't know that there were going to be that many women, black women, migrating. Wow. And so I think they got felt a little possessive of their group. It's this group was created for us. And so I think that there are some other groups that are being created, like the couples and that, and you can actually belong to any group.
Yeah, and sometimes it's, yes, you want to be a part of a community that accepts you, but then if it's so cliquish that you want to be, like you have to be this, you have to be this.
See, that's what I can't
There's a gay group
that.
here also.
Yeah.
We met there's a large gay community here.
Okay.
And so we've met a number of them, really nice people. Because I had some friends from Atlanta that moved here, a lady and her partner.
In my mind, I was like, I don't want to go to school where I see another white person, but I don't have to. I'm definitely going to a black college.
Yeah.
So we had a cousin.
I didn't even know anything
See,
about
people
black
don't
colleges
get-
when I was in school.
people don't
in
get-
Jersey.
In Jersey,
I didn't know
yeah.
anything
So
about
how did you find out about
guidance counselor. My guidance counselor said, you look like this professor at A&T. His last name was Turner too. And we look similar. And so she said, you should apply to A&T because I know this guy down here. And we did look similar. So that's why I went up to A&T.
Wow.
It was just like that, just that simple.
Speaking to what you were talking about, there's always this conversation in the States that people act like they don't understand why black people think that we live in a racist country. See, because these stories that you're telling are usually not told.
Right.
And when they are told, it was like, oh, well, that's an isolated incident.
Right.
That is not true.
Right.
And that is why today so many people are looking to get out of that country, because now, with social media and all of that, now we have a voice and we can prove that what we say is true.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these stories about, how you were in an isolated community where you guys were the only blacks, and then you came in articulate
And
You
then
know?
we didn't look like foo-foo doo-doo.
Hello.
And so they were
Hello.
really like, oh, wow. Like, and then
Ooh, some
we
of you
lived in
are
some,
good.
like
Intelligent.
look,
Yeah.
I
Some
got
of you are
accepted.
intelligent.
I
Yeah.
got accepted. Yeah, we did this. We did our own, like, advocating for us, right? And I applied to 2 schools, Prairie View
Mm.
and Ohio State.
Mm.
I got accepted into both.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Now the story shifts because I decided my parents. So you get Texas and Ohio. My parents were like, which one? Because I wanted to go visit. I mean, the fact that I got in both schools was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, and my mom, her good friend worked at Ohio State.
Mm.
But Ohio State in those days, I can imagine. But go ahead.
And you know, I'm from Ohio too.
Yeah.
I chose because we had moved from Texas,
Mhm.
so my heart, I love Texas.
Mm.
So I chose Prairie View.
Mm.
Okay. And when my parents, so I never even went for a visit.
I never went to Grambling for a visit.
It was just when school started, my parents dropped me off, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I had to figure it out, and I didn't figure it out because I was like, I don't want to be here. After the first semester, that was my opportunity. At least I told myself, like, it's time for me to grow up. I gotta find my own way. She's been like, you know, Shannon's always been like that big sister, that protector, and I know I needed for myself. I needed to just like, I could do this on my own kind of thing. And so, yeah, when I got there, I was overwhelmed. And the fact, so now you got both of your children just in school, back-to-back years, financially, what that was like for my parents, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember I was getting notes on my bills, like, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm calling my parents, like, they're saying they're gonna kick me out, blah blah blah, you know. And you know, I think I told Shannon that. So at that point, I think that really deflated me. And I said, you know, since Shannon was already like in her sophomore year, I was like, I'm gonna come home, right? And my mother was like, I think my mom was like, no. And I went around her and I called my grandmother, and I was telling her the situation, like, I'm getting all these bills and blah 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 blah, and you know, I just don't feel good, you know. It was like embarrassing or whatever, and I couldn't figure it out by myself. And so I came home.
What'd your grandmother say?
She called my parents and was like, if she's not happy, let that baby come home, right?
That's right.
And so I came,
That's
I
how we
went
do
back, and I was a little lost. I was. And I will say this, before I even went to college, I've been barbering since I was 12, right? Like, just it made sense. I would watch my father cut my brother's hair, and I was always fascinated. Like, it made sense. And so I remember, you know, my brother was getting older, and you know, my dad really didn't want to cut his hair. He would like rush and put a bowl around it.
Oh.
You know? And you know, now my brother's getting older. He's like, now my reputation, you know, I can't be rocking a bowl, right? Right. And so I remember one time I was like, just let me cut it once. I promise, you know. Cut his hair one time, never messed up, and from that, like, I taught myself fading and just different cutting techniques with one clipper.
You know Joe?
You said Joe?
Joe, what's Joe's last name again? Joe.
Not Joe.
From Wisdom.
Oh, she's talking about the wisdom course leader, Jill Blackwell Preston.
Yeah.
Are you
Oh.
familiar with her?
Okay. Yeah, she's got a salon that's what she does. She has a salon in New York City.
She's
Oh,
a famous
really?
Yeah.
hair
Okay.
She does-
person.
she's a celebrity
She does
hair.
celebrity hair.
Wow.
We heard that you did some celebrities too, some basketball players.
No,
and
I
things.
worked in the Olympics.
Profession.
And when Olympics was in Atlanta in '96.
I
got
want you to know we have a star up in our house.
Yes, '96 Olympics right here in the
You
house.
also did the Stellar Awards one year.
I did the Stellar Awards, and I was.
Okay, yeah.
I would get, people would call me, and I don't know how my name, you know, got out there, but this is also too when I was, you know, I just had Miles, And you can't. They want you to drop everything.
Yeah.
So there's no warning, and I have a
Yeah.
clientele, so it's like I can't just push my clients to the side. These people,
Yeah.
depend on me.
Look, if she
And they
tells
want you to
them,
show up.
I think I'm gonna go a different direction, they'll be like, if you want to raise your prices, you can raise your prices.
Mm-hmm.
Like, please just don't stop doing,
There
stop doing
you
hair.
go.
But I did go back to, so I finished, when I left, this is what I meant this. I left Prairie View. That was incomplete for me. 'Cause I had never in my life started something that I didn't finish.
Right.
And so I was carrying that with me. Like, I got to go back to school to finish my degree. So I did go back, and I graduated 2012 with my business degree.
Okay.
And I really didn't need it, but it was just something,
You wanted to complete.
for my
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah, that's
And
important.
when I was going back to school, my clients were like, so are you gonna retire? Like, they did not know what was getting ready
But
to
you were in
happen.
business, so that makes there's a connection there.
Right, absolutely.
But I want to speak a little bit to, when people come to visit, most of them are fascinated with, our living situation.
It's
And
amazing.
they are like, tell me more about this because I'm considering. So have you all considered?
I'm considering.
You're
Like,
con-
I really am. I'm like, if this is where, because I'm in higher ed.
I was just getting ready to say,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about what you do, what you've done in the past.
So
You're a mother, right?
I have two daughters, one 27, one 24.
Okay.
Both are HBCU grads. One
Okay.
went to Grambling, and the other one went to Alabama State. They actually were soccer players too, so they got soccer
I
scholarships.
love soccer.
Yeah, so because of them, I went the route of education.
Okay.
So when I became a single mom, so that I could be off when they were off, or if I had to go to events and just travel with them, all of that stuff, it just made sense.
Yes.
I used to teach in the school system, and then I realized, like, I'm not going to be able to survive. North Carolina is one of the lowest paying when it comes to paying teachers, and I was teaching, coaching, doing, like, basically the kids that got kicked out of school, so I was actually going to meet them to make sure that they still got their studies. It just became too much, so I was granted an opportunity to go to higher ed. And so I was like, what?
Okay, now, my audience, I want you to listen to this because this is an example, not to, say anything against black men, but black women, black girl magic. You hear how she's talking about all these things that she was trying to do, taking care of those children as a single parent?
Didn't give up. I sacrificed a lot for them, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity came for me to go to higher ed. It altered my schedule a little bit as far as events that I was able to attend because they were both doing travel soccer. But I had a really good community network that helped me when I couldn't be at A and B, And even my oldest, when she got to the point where she realized that her younger sister was phenomenal too, that she said, I know it's expensive for you to pay for both of us to do travel soccer. So how about I try to walk on the soccer team? These are the schools I'm interested in, Mom. And then you can just let Cameron still play for club. And then we'll work it out from there. So she wanted to go down to Alabama State because she had gone on a tour of black colleges to see for the Southeast all the way down. They took them down to Florida A&M. They just kind of took them all the HBCUs in that whole rim. And so she went down to Alabama State. She tried out, and she made it. She got a
Good
scholarship.
for her.
So that opened up so I could really focus. We focused on her sister. She helped focus on her sister because my youngest was like, I am not going to an HBCU.
Hey.
I'm
Never.
just like, not.
If you knew my youngest
no,
niece's
I just,
personality,
no, I'm not doing
I
that.
never saw her at HBCU.
Yeah. So the coach, she ends up tearing her ACL her senior year at a combine kind of for soccer. And she thought her soccer career was over. So I had a good friend from college who he actually was our kicker, and he was actually like a national ranked. He ended up going to the NFL also. So he's an alum from Grambling. And I think I posted a highlight. He's like, hey, did your daughter submit her stuff to Grambling? I said, no. Long story short, he sends the tape to the coach. The coach contacts my daughter and said, can you guys come for a visit?
Is this when she went?
Which
for
weekend
home-
you think I took her, Daryl?
Which weekend?
Yeah, which weekend?
Homecoming.
You know it. You know?
Right.
I took her to homecoming. She saw that hospitality of all that Creole food, how all the people were feeding, how the minute she got out of the car, one of
But
the
she also saw how many people knew her mother. So just imagine you guys are experiencing Shannon like you've probably known her for a little bit longer, right? On campus, every 2 steps, Shannon Valerie, Shannon Valerie.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she was just like, my mother is a rock star. She was
and I
in
never
awe.
told them how they never knew how many people I knew, like how this experience would be. So I used to take when they were little, but they're adults now, so she didn't see it. So we're there for this recruiting event. Coach is telling her so, but it's also homecoming. She's feeding people are coming up that I went to school with their kids, or say, hey, my dad went to school with your mom. If there anything that you need, just let me know. I got you. Like I can take you around. If you don't want to hang with your mom, we can do X, Y, Z. So she's like, wait a minute. This is kind of weird. Like, Mom, is this normal? I said, yeah. Like I said, yeah, it is.
So somewhere she had a misconception
Yeah.
of us as black folks, like everybody has, until they know the truth.
Yeah, the HBCU experience is different. I didn't know about any HBCUs growing up in New Jersey. The schools that I applied to were Rutgers. I applied to Pepperdine.
Yeah.
Pepperdine in California.
And that kind of thing,
Yeah.
And so I only applied to A&T because my counselor suggested I do that.
That was your best experience.
And
with
yeah, and it was like, my saving grace. Yeah.
I say the same thing. So with my daughter, I didn't say anything. So the day before we were supposed to leave, we were sitting in the hotel, and she just kind of broke down and started crying. And I said, what's wrong? She's like, I just feel like I'm not allowing you to spend time with your friends and people. Everybody's talking to you, Mom. Like, this is a little overwhelming. Like, are you, like, I feel really bad. I said, girl, this is business. I said, this has nothing to do. I'll see all these people another time. And some of them I don't care to see, but I'm good. This is about you right now. I said, so don't worry about what I'm not getting, because I want to make sure you're good. And so when we got on the plane, she just she was smiling. And she says, I've made my decision.
Oh.
She's like, I have to be there. She may be more militant than I am, because
I mean, it's like the craziest. I don't know.
Like
This girl has flipped. Now I still call her little Sally Sue.
yeah, yeah. But the history that she can, like her representation of representing the athletes going down to their governor's mansion to advocate for HBCU athletes. Her whole mindset of like how empowering it is to be at a HBCU, and how how the networking system has put her in her position at her job now. Because one of my really good friends, my one good friend was the chief of police for Dallas. She was the one that was elected for. My other good friend, she's actually the assistant director of probations in Houston. She's second in charge. So Cameron was a criminal justice and psychology major. She said, I'm just waiting for Cam to let me know what she want to do. So Cameron kept saying, I'm not working for the government. It's rigged, blah, 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 blah. I said, you don't have a job, and I'm not paying for anything else for you. So you better figure it out, government or not.
Right.
I'm not, this is going to have to cut. So she ended up calling. She calls her Aunt Trina. Got an interview. She was going for the interview. They call her back and say, we think you're overqualified for this position. Now, she's 23 at the time, so they're like, we think you're overqualified for this. Can you just hold off and interview for this? Then she's like, okay. So then she had that interview. Then other managers heard, so it's like, wait, we have another position that we're creating
over
yeah.
her.
So my good friend calls and said, girl, I just want to tell you, all these managers and all these different people in departments are coming and asking about Cameron. And I just told them, whatever you do, you better make sure you treat her right, because I got to deal with her mother.
Right.
So
That's what I'm talking
so
about.
she was my roommate. She was my roommate. She's one of my best friends too. So she said, Cameron has a couple options to decide where she wants to be. So she gets the job. She's so excited because she didn't even know that she could work from home one day. So I go there for lunch. I was like, yeah, I was talking to such and such, and they said that you can work from home one day. She's like, she asked Cameron, Cam, you not working from home? She's like, I'm just doing my job. I don't want to ask for anything extra, So she's like, let me handle it. So they tell her you get to work from home for one day. It went from working from one day that she gets to work 2 days. So loves what she does. Already has gotten promoted. Like she's going to start another position.
Such a blessing.
But I'm just proud of how networking and
Yeah.
things that you don't even expect. And I tell kids all the time, like I recruit. I work for a small liberal arts college in North Carolina.
What school is that?
St. Andrews.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little Presbyterian, small little liberal arts. So
Okay.
I went from one school. Like I like it because I love making a difference. Because we talk about, for me, I didn't have that support. So nobody told us how to fill out financial aid. Nobody told us the next
Yeah.
steps to do. And to have first
That's
generation
the way it was
families,
for our generation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we
All
just,
of us.
Yeah.
Nobody
Grew
in
up
my
like
college,
that. We had
nobody
to-
in my family had ever gone to college.
Right. So we're first generation.
Shannon
Yeah.
the first in
And
my
so
family.
all I can think about is like I want to be able to make a difference in other families' lives to help them. And I've enjoyed it. And my girls didn't realize like how many resources, like I work at a college, so I'm telling you all this stuff. And they'll tell me now like, you were right, Mom. You used to tell us about X, Y, and Z, that we should have applied for scholarships. But they get it now. So my oldest, she'll tell you, I don't like school, but I went.
Her
and got
oldest
my,
is me.
Yeah,
She's like my mentor.
yeah, she really is.
Creative.
Yeah,
She does
artistic.
hair.
She does hair too. So she has NFL. Her clientele is NFL football players, NBA. She has soccer. She has people in the music industry. But her degree is in something totally different. Like she has a rehabilitation with a concentration addiction because she wanted to be an occupational therapist. She thought, or a physical therapist. She tore her ACL in this, and she was like, I don't really like people like that. Like she likes kids, but she's like adults whine, blah 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 blah. Like I don't really. And she's in the industry where she's constantly talking and.
But it's different when it's different because she just can't be in. She's not a structured environment.
Yeah, she's
Personality type.
Yeah,
It's different when you're dealing with.
it's that I wanted to take a job where I could be out of the country. I've always kind of thought about, but I got married at 25. Been a mom, like just recently, and I think my mom said the same thing. I realized that my kids don't really need me anymore like that. I've just been relevant in their lives. This is like, so I had to really push back and let them be them. Like not some
That's
stuff
tough,
I still
too.
do.
We have a secret to share with you. Yeah, we think they don't really need us like that until we distance ourselves.
Right.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
the need really jumps out there, like they're
Or
calling
the
it-
appreciate.
Or the
It's the
appreciation.
appreciation. They miss what. I feel like everything starts to click, and they realize, like, man, we had some good. Our parents are amazing.
That's what I'm
like
talking
almost
about.
like children have to experience life through somebody else's, like one of their peers' lens, to
Yes.
see to hear, like, oh, my mother wasn't there, or my father wasn't there, or I've never had dinner.
Yeah.
Things that other people share with them for them to appreciate.
Or sometimes
Really
they
what they
just
got.
have to grow up.
Yes,
yeah.
They
absolutely.
just have to mature.
yes.
But fast forward now, we're going to talk a little bit about your desire to look at other countries. You've been thinking, you're like us. We were like that. My children used to say, Mom, you've been saying ever since we were young that you are not going to retire in the U.S. So you have, because we can see what's going on
Oh my
in
gosh, it
with
gives me
us in our
anxiety.
community, especially black women.
Yeah,
Now, we're the bomb.
Yeah.
But back then, it was tough.
yeah.
Dating and getting jobs and that kind of thing. It was rough for black women. So I've always had that thought that I was going to retire out of the country. Daryl as well. He traveled a lot out of the country.
Yeah, my motivations started a little differently. I just thought it was a neat idea. I started reading about Costa Rica being the place to go back
That's
in my
another.
30s or so. And so I said, that sounds kind of neat. Let's look into that. So my wife and I were discussing that for a long time.
Was Costa Rica on the list as well?
It was on our list.
Yeah.
Okay, what
But
are
I
your
want
top,
to-
what is your? Okay, I'm sorry.
But I want to get into your, what had you, well, you've been thinking about it for a long time. I heard you say that earlier. You kind of always had a fascination. But so are you now like kind of seriously looking at relocation, and why?
First of all, I'm glad I'm meeting you guys to help me to navigate
Aw.
where are possibilities, because you said Costa Rica that keeps coming up for me. Thailand keeps coming up for me.
Panama.
I haven't had that. I haven't had Panama, but what about Ghana? Like an African
A
country.
lot of
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
moving to Ghana.
But I want to make. I actually would like to be around a different. Even though Ghana's a different culture, I would like to be around. I think a Spanish environment.
Spain?
Yeah,
Spain is big.
Yeah.
Spain and Mexico have a kind of a symbiotic relationship to some degree. So
Okay. So, just hearing what would make sense, where I would be comfortable. My only concern, you're gonna be like, what? I just gotta make sure I can bring my 2 dogs with me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's funny. That's funny that I'm saying it, but so
They
I
love
have someone
dogs
that I
here.
date, and I'm crazy about it. But I feel like I've put everything in my life, made me second to everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
and I've missed out on things that I really want to do.
It's your time.
It's my time. So even though I'm super attached, like even living 4 hours from my family, my parents, I don't have any. Like I'm in North Carolina by myself now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I have a part, and I basically told him, I said, look, you my dude, but I can no longer make decisions based on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am getting emotional because I said I don't think I ever want to get married again because I feel like I'm free.
Yes.
I'm free to be me. I'm free to like experience stuff that. Yeah, I'm so excited. So coming here, I'm not gonna lie, I was anxious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was kind of overwhelmed, like trying to make sure I had everything together, like just make. And this one acting like she my mama, like she's like, okay, do you have? I was like, well, I have my. I said,
I love it. You guys are so sweet. I love your sister relationship. I love that. It is so apparent how much you love each other.
It's so. Let me just tell you how strong it was, you guys. That for years, I'm talking about probably until maybe 10 years ago, I would have dreams that I was protecting her, and like from the point of like not letting her fall, or someone was chasing us and we had to jump off a building like this, and I would tell her just get on my back. I would just,
You are such
yeah,
a
like I would
protector.
just
That
like
is so
so
beautiful.
for years I would have these dreams about always protecting her.
I can so
And
relate to
then-
her. I'm getting emotional too
Yeah.
because you are me and I'm you.
Yeah,
I
and
can
then
relate
finally,
so much.
I felt like she was free of whatever was making her not. I think maybe after she did the landmarks of it, she was trying to get me to do. I said, I'm a little bit more outspoken than
Baby,
you are.
when I tell you,
I
she
said,
almost
don't-
cursed me out.
I said, don't
call me
about
another time to ask me
the
about
landmarks.
Who does that sound like?
we know.
we
know
went
all
through
too
that
well.
too.
Right.
I said, don't call me no more. I said, I don't got a problem saying how I feel. I've shared whatever. If somebody's done something to me or whatever, I've confronted that person. I've cleaned the slate with them.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, there are other things that I may like think about, but I said, but I ain't about to go in there and tell, like, I said, no, I don't have a problem going to a counselor to share stuff. I said, but don't call me about landmark again because you about to get blocked.
She told me. I was like, oh.
I said, don't do not call
You know
me
what?
about it.
You know, in this
It
video,
happens like that
in
sometimes.
this video, I'm going to bleep that out.
Right.
When
So
she
I
say,
know you guys,
I'm
but
gonna bleep.
Right.
from my
me.
sister, it's been amazing for her.
Yeah.
She needed to be able to express, be able to connect, be able to show emotions of stuff that she has never been able to express before. So even now, even though we're super close, do you know we don't talk about like our relationships with we may discuss it, but we don't really talk about it. So sometimes she gets nervous when I can just
That's a truck, y'all.
her energy I can feel like
Well, we
something's
can feel each other's energy when something's off.
Yeah,
Right.
like really
You're like
super
twins.
strong. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
super strong. I was like, wait, something. She was like, what? I said, yeah, you said this, but it's not matching up to what this some. She's like, okay, I'm like, oh, I gotta go right now. I'm have to
That was funny.
When Sonia said, Susan, I just want to bring my sister. And I'm like, well, I invited you to come. I don't want to bring your sister for. And she's like, well, my sister, we're very close, and she's just like me, and you'll love her, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, okay, bring your sister.
So then when she called me and Susan was right there, she told me, Shan, one of my clients is moving over to Mexico, blah blah blah, and we can organize. You like that kind of stuff. Susan's like, you're kind of putting her on the spot.
Right.
She's like, you're putting her on the spot, and she said no. She'll say, girl, I ain't coming over there. Like she'll say
No,
no.
Susan would say no. Like, no,
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But I needed her to see Shannon to kind of, and I knew once she was in the space, you guys would
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I needed this, so I'm really
I'm so
just
glad.
kind of, and I'm thinking, even when I was organizing, I was like, ooh, what can I leave, and what am I going to be able to bring, and what am I, you know, so getting established here. You guys have been here for how long?
Going on three years. We love it. We're never going back.
Wow.
But we will have some discussions with you during your tenure here, just to talk to you about, you know, the various countries and the pros and cons
That's
of
what I
each
need to know,
country.
okay.
So we'll do that, absolutely. But we're happy that you're here.
Yes.
We're just having a family reunion, a family conversation, and there'll be more to come while they're visiting.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.